Hey folks, Dre Crawford here, Recovery One Drones again. Today, my city of San Bernardino, California, is going to be doing a ceremony for the demolition of one of our malls in the city. This mall was originally built back in 1971-72 time frame, and it's kind of ran its course. It's been shut down since around 2017. The city acquired the full property a few years ago, and now it's time to redevelop it. So right now I'm going to give you a little idea of my setup on a project like this. If you see over my shoulder is the area where the mall is at. But what's key about where I'm at right now is I'm on the 5th level of a parking structure adjacent to one of our city buildings. Now, those of you may have flown off of a parking structure, so to speak, know there's certain things you got to look out for. Things like the concrete itself. When you build parking structures, there's a lot of concrete and rebar inside the parking structure. Also, you have the outlying barriers here, which are metal. So these things cause interference, magnetic interference on your drone. So if you can see over my shoulder, I have my drone sitting on top. Usually I have a bucket I take with me out in the field, just in case I'm in a situation like this where I might be flying off of a concrete facility or whatever the case may be. So I brought another device, which is basically a trash can, to launch the drone off so it will not interfere with the magnetic signal of the drone itself. Just a little tip, something cheap. You can go get a bucket from Home Depot or wherever else you may shop at, Lowe's, and use that to take around with you and fly in an urban environment. Now, the second thing I want to address, what people get kind of a little confused on, I'm flying in controlled airspace, 1. 2, I'm flying off a man-made object. Like I say, I'm flying off a 5th level parking structure. The reason why I say that, so the parking structure is roughly about, we'll give it 50 feet, might be 60, 70 at the moment, but let's call it even 50. Now, regardless that I'm taking off from a 5th level parking structure, the AGL is still down at the ground because this is a man-made structure. So for me to stay in compliance with the FAA regulations, and I have a COA for this area, so not a problem with that, is getting authorization to fly here, but I still have to stay below 400 feet. So that using that little simple math, if I'm taking 50 feet for where I'm actually taking off from, that means I can only rise up no more than 350 feet maximum to make sure I stay within the regulations of the FAA for 400 feet. So that's a little simple tip when people go out and they want to fly off rooftops, fly off parking structures, or anything else above ground. If it's a natural terrain, then that is your AGL takeoff point. But if it's man-made, which means if it's a building, some kind of scaffolding, or things like that, you have to estimate the amount of distance that you're above the ground, and you subtract that for your ceiling level when you fly. So what we're going to do initially now is that we're going to use my Mavic Enterprise Advance, do a little scouting of the area. There's supposed to be a lot of dignitaries showing up for this. Once again, it's a little baffling for me why we're getting all excited about a demolition. The mall will not be demoed today entirely. This is just like a ceremony type thing. And they may have some elected officials and dignitaries show up and do a ceremonial hit on a block or something with some sledgehammers. But right now we're going to go ahead and get the Mavic Enterprise Advance up in the air, and then we will be taking up the Mavic 30T up in the air. So as always say, hang on, enjoy the ride, and please subscribe. Thank you.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Okay, so now it's time to get the M30T up in the air. The ceremony is about to start, so we're going to get up and get in position.
Taking off.
And the one thing I like about this M30T more than anything else, like everybody else says about it, is the zoom capabilities. Like I said, optical zoom goes up to I think 18 times, I'm not mistaken, and you can go to a hybrid zoom up to 256. I like to stay around the 18 because 256 you're talking about shooting somewhere close to a mile away. So we're going to zoom in here and see where we need to go. That's the camera itself. There we go. Adjustment. So now we're going to zoom in. Bring our camera angle up a little bit. The one thing you remember, you can have all the cameras recording simultaneously. So we're going to get into position. And the first thing we're going to do is zoom in on one of those city logos and see where we're at on that. We're at 20 times zoom. And as you can see, I'm 139 feet altitude in the air, which I'm actually probably about close to 180 because of the difference of where I took off from. You can read that city logo pretty clearly. See the camera people on the ground, and I'm way behind the crowd. I'm sitting basically far enough back that I'm not flying over anybody, not flying over any traffic, and I can get pictures like this. And we can even zoom in a little harder, go with a 40, bring the camera up a little bit. It's one thing when you're in the zoom mode is that you don't. Now this is one feature that the M30 people don't talk about, maybe might know about, but the camera itself can move somewhere in excess of about 120 degrees left and right. So you can keep the drone still and move the camera over so slightly without moving the drone. And when you're in zoom mode, it makes it a lot easier to do operations like this. So that way I'm able to keep the city logo in picture and keep the speakers podium in picture. And once again, we're at 40 zoom. So this is in a hybrid mode. If I got a little closer, I could have kept it down to around 20. But like I said, I don't know how big this crowd's going to get, and you don't know what direction people are going to be parking and walking from. So this way, I'm far enough back to not be at risk flying over people or traffic per se, and not have to worry about that. So like I always tell people, you always got to look at your risk factors when you're out flying, especially when you fly in an urban environment. You always got to try to anticipate the unexpected, and when the unexpected happens, know how to navigate through it. I would say work through the problem. Okay, we see some people walking up. It looks like the mayor.